Hey guys, it's Candle and it's time for another gaming pickups video. Yes, indeed. Couple things. First up, I forgot to mention this last time, but I was able to get my hands on an analog Mega SG. I've got the box right here. The actual thing is hooked up right now, but I picked that up, so now I can play Sega Genesis games in full HD, 1080p, which is amazing. It looks gorgeous. But beyond that, I also got the Mega SG adapters set. So what this basically does, it allows me to play Game Gear games as well as original Sega Master System games as well. So that is great. I still need to get a Sega CD, which the Mega SG works with, and a 32X, which the Mega SG does not work with, unfortunately. Thankfully, I do have an original Genesis. You can just see the box right up there, the corner of the box right up there. So yes, I forgot to mention those last time, and I do have them now. So beyond that, I did pick up one other hardware thing, and funny story behind this. You notice I've got some Nintendo handhelds up here. Well, the only one that actually has a box is the new 3DS XL. That's the only one that actually has a box right now. So what I wanted to do was I kind of wanted to start getting boxes for some of these systems I have that are unboxed. So I went on eBay trying to find a Game Boy Color box, and they weren't in very good condition. So I started thinking, okay, maybe I'll get an actual Game Boy Color complete in box. I'll pay a little bit more, but I'll have a spare. So I was looking for that, and they were a little bit more than I wanted to pay. Now after that, I decided, you know what? Let's keep on this though. Let's try Game Boy Advance. So I started looking for Game Boy Advance boxes to match my Glacier Game Boy Advance. And what I ended up finding was a pretty good condition Game Boy Advance complete in box, full documentation and everything. And so here it is. Now, the thing is, the Game Boy Advance that's currently in here is not the same Game Boy Advance that came with it. This is actually the one that used to sit up there, and the one that's up there is the one that came in with it. And I will show you why. So what happened was, it wasn't in the actual written description, but when I went back and looked through the photos, that's what kind of made it clear to me like they weren't really trying to hide this. But when it came in, I noticed that the serial number wasn't visible through the window in the back of the box. So I pulled the system out and I'm looking at it, and I noticed that it doesn't have the serial number there like normal. Instead, it has it down here, and I'm like, wait a second, what's going on there? That's weird. Also, it doesn't have the warning on the back of the battery cover like I'm used to. So what's going on? Well, actually what happened is, if you look right down here, I don't know how well that'll show up on camera, whether or not it will focus in well enough, but it says AGB JPN, and even the fact that the serial number starts AJ, this is a Japanese Game Boy Advance. So they sent me a Japanese Game Boy Advance in a North American box with North American documentation. So that was like really, really weird to me that they did that. Now the good news is Nintendo handhelds have always been region free. So this still plays, all of my Game Boy Advance games, but I have two Game Boy Advances now, a good one and a spare, and I'm probably going to at some point modify one of these, probably the Japanese one, for like a rechargeable battery and a backlit screen, because honestly, of the Game Boy Advance, the original, wide form factor is probably my favorite over like the Game Boy Advance SP or even the Micro, which I do not have a Game Boy Micro yet. I need to get one at some point. But alongside that, I wanted to get a couple more Game Boy Advance games, and one that had been on my list for a while because I just had the cartridge for it. You can see it right here, Harry Potter 1. I just had the cartridge for it, and I wanted to complete it. Well, again, it's a kind of hit and miss trying to find good quality boxes and manuals by themselves online. So what I ended up doing was paying for a complete in-box copy. So now I have two copies of this game. But I am glad to have this because this is the first time I've ever had this game boxed. I didn't have this as a kid growing up. I actually had the Game Boy Color version of it, which I went ahead and picked up as well. So yeah, big day for picking up old titles and stuff. Now the interesting thing about the first run Harry Potter games is they were different on every single platform. The PC version was a 3D platforming adventure. The PS1 version was kind of a stripped down of version of that, kind of similar, kind of different. But then the Game Boy Advance and Game Boy Color, since they had really different technological tech specs compared to the other two, were quite a bit different. The Game Boy Advance game was a top-down 2D platforming adventure, and then the Game Boy Color game was actually a JRPG, turn-based combat. And so I'm definitely glad to have both of those. I have beaten the Game Boy Color version before, but not the Game Boy Advance. I need to get on that at some point. What's really interesting, though, is that if you just look at them from the spine, they're identical. You can't tell straight from the shelf which one is which kind of sucks. You can, and they have the same front cover too, same box art too, so you can really only tell which system is which based on the actual badging on it. And the back of the boxes are nearly identical too. Pretty much the exact same setups, just different features and screens, screenshots and stuff like that. But beyond that, I also picked up the Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets for Game Boy Advance, and I did have this once upon a time. I traded it in along with a number of other games at some point to GameStop years and years and years ago. We're talking like 15 years ago or more, because this was probably around the time that the DS was coming out, and I wanted that, and I knew, like, I got rid of all my Game Boy Color games when the DS came out because I knew the DS wasn't going to run them, and I got rid of some Game Boy Advance games that I wasn't playing anymore and didn't really think I'd ever want to play again. Joke's on me. Especially when I think of how I gave GameStop a complete in-box copy of Pokemon Crystal for probably like $5, and it's worth like 100 times that now. It's worth like $400 or $500 now. But yeah, definitely got this. This kind of follows in the same vein as Harry Potter 1 on the Game Boy Advance, where it is a top-down platforming adventure, but this one is isometric instead of, straight on orthogonal. So definitely glad to have this back. Definitely looking forward to getting the other early Harry Potter games. I know J.K. Rowling is a turf. I can't support her current endeavors as a writer. I'm probably never going to watch the third Fantastic Beasts movie, or if I do, it's going to be on some streaming service. So I'm never going to buy it or pay to go to a theater or anything like that. But I don't really mind buying these old games because she doesn't see any direct money from this. First off, these were made as movie tie-ins, so they were under the Warner Brothers movie license that she had already been paid for. And also, these are used copies. So Warner Brothers, EA Games, they already got their money when these were first sold. So this is purely on the secondhand market. I don't mind paying for those. But one other thing I did end up picking up that was Harry Potter related was Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone again. This is for the GameCube. Now, the reason why this actually has a different box art from the first run games, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, PS1, and PC, was because this actually came out a couple years later. Those were all in 2001 to coincide with the release of the first movie. This was in 2003. This is the next-gen version. It's nearly identical to what you would find on the original Xbox and PS2, but it is different from all the other versions of the game. And I'm actually playing through it right now, and I'm enjoying it quite a bit, exploring Hogwarts and stuff like that. Definitely glad to pick this up. It's actually quite a bit collectible to have the GameCube version of it. The PS2 version is actually pretty cheap, so definitely looking forward to getting some of those. Another thing I picked up was another GameCube game, and this one I really just needed a new disc because my old disc was scratched when I first got it, and I didn't realize it until months later, so it was too late to take it back. But I wanted to get a disc, and what I ended up doing was I spent a little bit more and got the game complete in box. Now, the reason I did this was because I'm probably just going to throw out that old disc, but it does have the original box art for it. So I was like, if this has the manual, I'll buy it complete. And lo and behold, it has the manual. It's Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. This is from the creator of Sonic the Hedgehog. I don't know if it's Sonic Team's. Yeah, it is Sonic Team specifically. So every now and then Sonic Team does something other than Sonic. They do these weird things. Like they give us Nights into Dreams. They give us Billy Hatcher. And more recently, somebody from Sonic Team, I don't know if it's Sonic Team specifically, but they gave us Balan Wonderworld, which I had not heard too good things about. But yeah, I definitely wanted to pick this up. And beyond just getting the complete in box with a good disc, I noticed that the copy I had, I don't know how well you can tell, it's a little bit sun bleached. This in the front here is the copy that I had, so it's a little bit sun bleached on the spine. So definitely glad to have this one in a little bit better quality as well. All right, so that leaves us with one more major retro find that I was really surprised to get. I probably overpaid a little bit, but not like a crazy amount. I got it for $90, and I think it's like 80 something, 85, or it was at the time I got it, and it's in pretty good condition. I ended up picking up another Saturn game, Panzer Dragoon, the original. Yes, the front here does look a little bit sun bleached, but I can't really tell whether or not it is, or if it's just like the render itself is just like poor quality. It's a Saturn game, so it's not really that unexpected. Definitely glad to have this in my collection. I know that Panzer Dragoon 2 is expensive, and Panzer Dragoon Saga is super, super expensive. Those are actually, I believe, the only two Panzer Dragoon games I'm missing, because I do have Orta for the original Xbox, and I also have the recent remake of the original Panzer Dragoon on Switch from Limited Run Games. So definitely glad to add this to my collection. I played around with it a little bit. I don't know if it's something wrong with my Saturn or something wrong with the disc. I didn't notice like any major scratches, and there's no sign of disc rot. But the FMVs, there's like a little syncing issue between my CRT and the Saturn when it comes to playing the FMVs. I don't know if it's because they're on a weird resolution that my CRT just doesn't want to really handle that well or not, but it causes the game to flicker. The geometry gets all messed up and everything. It really is like it's a resolution mismatch. You know, like it's trying to go something really, really weird that the CRT is struggling to handle. The game itself, though, plays fine. It plays beautifully. But it's just the FMVs that kind of suck, so I can't really watch the original intro and compare it to the recent remake and see how well it did. But definitely glad to add this to my collection as well. Beyond that, I picked up a couple more recent games. I got Sonic Colors Ultimate. I wanted to get this on Switch, but they only had it in the big box like this, and I don't want my Switch games, you know, because they're such specific size boxes. I don't want them sticking out like this. This is also why I haven't picked up Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD yet, because I really want that, but I'm debating on whether getting that on PS5 or getting the Switch version, because again, it's because that one has like an art book, so it has like the same width here, whereas a Switch cart or a Switch case is so much thinner. So I ended up getting the PS4 version of Sonic Colors. Plays in 4K, so definitely glad, or near enough to 4K. It's not native 4K. The only version that has that is the Xbox One X and Xbox Series X versions, which is the same disc, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, definitely glad to have this. It's still quite a bit of fun, though, going back and playing this. This was a Wii game. That's why I wanted it on the Switch. But definitely glad to have this. It's going to probably be a while before you see it like by itself rather than these special editions, because these include a Baby Sonic keychain. And let me pull this out real quick. I haven't actually added it to my keychain because I'm probably just going to leave it in here. If I ended up getting a second copy at some point, I would add it to my keychain. This is leftover merchandise from the Sonic the Hedgehog movie from February 2020. You know, right before the pandemic hit. That was actually the last movie I saw in theaters too, until just today I went and saw the new James Bond movie. So yeah, that's leftover movie merch that they're just trying to give out, bundled with every copy of Sonic Colors Ultimate. So I think that's kind of hilarious. But beyond that, I did pick up a PS5 game. I didn't get all the PS5 games recently. I wanted to. I kind of have to wait for Alan Wake Remastered. I just ordered it off Amazon. It's going to take a couple weeks to get here. That is like super hard to find physically. I went to pretty much every store in my area that sells games. Nobody has it. Best Buy doesn't have it. Walmart doesn't have it. Target doesn't have it. I went to one GameStop that had like one copy of Alan Wake Remastered on the Xbox, but I wanted the PS5 version because even though this was an Xbox 360 game and I have like all of Remedy's other titles on Xbox consoles, the PS5 version has DualSense. You know, it'll take advantage of the DualSense controller, so that's why I want that. But I did end up getting Tales of Arise. This is the PS5 version. Um, this was actually only $60. Actually, I got it at Walmart, so it was closer to like $52. But even still, I was surprised that this wasn't a $70 title on PS5. But it's $60, and so I was definitely glad to get it. It does not take advantage of the DualSense controller, though. Unfortunately, it doesn't use the haptic feedback. It doesn't use the adaptive triggers. But it's a gorgeous game, gorgeous game. Probably the best Tales game I've ever played. And it's actually the second one I've actually beaten. The other one being Tales of Symphonia on the GameCube. So definitely glad to add this to my collection. Huge amount of fun. I have a lot of other Tales games. Most of them I haven't even touched, actually. So maybe I'll do that at some point. But beyond that, there were a number of Switch titles I ended up picking up as well. One that had been on my list for a while, I just hadn't gotten around to it, was Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics. I hadn't gotten around to this because it's a collection of 51 classic board games, basically. You know, board games and card games, and there's some sports stuff in here as well, but it's all like basic stuff. It's not like huge simulation stuff like FIFA or Madden or anything like that. But it is quite a lot of fun, and there's a number of games in here I'd never even heard of before. So definitely glad to play with that. I also picked up Cruisin' Blast, which is a blast from the past for me. It was a huge amount of fun too. This is your classic arcade racer. It's not like a circuit racer. It's literally just like a not a straight shot, but it's a sprint type race where you race from point A to point B, and that's it. You know, you have a start line, you have a finish line. You don't just do laps or anything like that. But these things go like really wild too. You've got like dinosaurs and UFOs and earthquakes and twisters and giant gorillas and stuff like that. I was really surprised to see that we even had there was even a new cruising game coming out, because I don't remember these games, coming out since the N64, at least not home console versions of it. These were huge in the arcades back in the day, and these were those big arcade cabinets where it would have this huge plastic car seat you would sit in, and a full wheel and pedal sets and everything. They would have like 2 to 4 of them set up in a row, and you could race people all day long. So yeah, on the N64 there was Cruis'n USA and Cruis'n World. So definitely glad to have this again. Beyond that, there was one more Switch game I got, and this is still sealed because I just picked it up, so I haven't had a chance to play it yet, and that is Metroid Dread. I am looking forward to this. I'm not a huge Metroid fan, or even really a huge fan of Metroidvania-style games to begin with, but everything I've seen about this game has me pretty excited to play it. It looks really good, so definitely going to be popping this into my Switch pretty much as soon as I'm done recording this video. But Metroid Dread is it is a monumental game for me in terms of my collection here, because this is game number 999. One more game and I'm at 1,000 games in my collection, 1,000 physical games in my collection. I've got another stack here to go through. So I finally picked up Daxter on the PSP. This was kind of a Jak and Daxter spin-off where it was Daxter all by himself, and this is from Ready at Dawn Studios. They also did the PSP God of War titles and a number of other things as well, so definitely interested in checking this out. Probably not going to actually play this physical copy though. I'll probably just emulate it on my computer, because my PSP is not always the best at reading discs. Sometimes it can be a little bit finicky, unfortunately, and so I'll probably end up playing this on my computer instead, but definitely glad to have this. Funny thing though, and I didn't realize it when I was buying it, it says not for resale on the back in place of where the barcode would normally be, so I'm assuming this came out of a bundle at some point, because I'm pretty sure I remember there were PSPs that actually had Daxter bundled with it, so that might be where this came from. Although it does say favorites, so that means it's not like the first printing here. It's like basically like the greatest hits version for PSP, but still. Another one, I didn't even know that they put this franchise on the PSP, but it does make sense when I think about it, is Tales of the World, Radiant Mythology. So this is another Tales of game from Bandai Namco, much like Tales of Arise. I'm not sure what the story here is for this. The fact that it has a subtitle kind of implies to me that this is kind of a sub-series within the Tales franchise. Like there might be another Tales of the World game, and this is the sequel or something like that. I don't know. I'll have to look into it before I really try playing this game. But yes, it's Tales of the World: Radiant Mythology. And then I also picked up Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops Plus. I didn't realize it was the Plus version when I picked it up. And according to the back, this is a standalone edition to the original game of the same name, focusing on multiplayer. So I don't know if this includes the original game or not. I will definitely have to look into that, because if it doesn't include the original game, then I need to find the original game, because I thought there were only two Metal Gear Solid titles on PSP. I thought it was Portable Ops and Peace Walker, and this is Portable Ops Plus, so I need Portable Ops and Peace Walker still. Beyond that, I also got Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Ring of Fates. This is the Crystal Chronicles game that is exclusive to the DS. There was also Echoes of Time, I think it's called, that had a companion game on the Wii. But with this, I am one step closer to completing my Final Fantasy collection. On the DS specifically, I am only missing 3 titles now. Crystal Chronicles Echoes of Time, like I just mentioned, as well as 12 Revenant Wings, which is the sequel to Final Fantasy 12, and also Final Fantasy The Four Heroes of Light, which I believe is the immediate precursor to the Bravely Default series. I think that team, after they finished Four Heroes of Light, which I think was supposed to be a reimagining of the original game, I'm not entirely sure, but after they finished Four Heroes of Light, I'm pretty sure that team went on to do Bravely Default Flying Fairy and so on. Speaking of reimaginings of the original Final Fantasy, I have been playing the second demo for Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin, and I'm hyped for that when that game comes out in March. I don't really go in for Souls-style games, but it's Final Fantasy, so I'll be there. But beyond that, I do have 2 more games to talk about. And again, like these PSP games and the DS game, I have not actually played these yet because I just got them today. And the first one has been on my list for a while, but it's really hard to find it in the wild. And this is the greatest hits version, so we'll see how well that does. But it is the original Wipeout. Now, this was a game that became more and more synonymous with the PlayStation brand as time went on, but it was not always exclusive to PlayStation. The original Wipeout came out on PS1, but it also came out on Sega Saturn and PC. And then there was also a Wipeout game that came out for the N64 as well, which I also have. But from that point onward, this franchise has mostly been on PlayStation. There was Wipeout XL, also called Wipeout 2, which is the one I'm missing on the PS1. And then there was Wipeout 3, which I do have. Wipeout Fusion, I think, is the PS2 game. There were a couple PSP games, a Vita game. There was a digital-only PS3 game, which got a DLC pack. And then the Vita game plus the PS3 games got bundled together and ported to PS4 as part of the Omega collection. But this is, your anti-gravity shooter, and I remember playing demos of this at my aunt's house, on my cousin's PS1. It was like the only place, the only people I knew of who had a PS1, and they didn't really have the full game. It was just like a couple demo discs, and that was it. But I remember like having a blast, so I'm definitely glad to add this to my collection. I'm going to be playing this sometime soon. But beyond that, I also picked up Jet Moto 2, which again is kind of in a similar vein, where it's kind of an anti-gravity racer, but it's almost like a jet bike, basically. You can see it right on the cover. And this is Jet Moto 2. I still need to get Jet Moto 1, but definitely glad to add these to my collection and try them out and stuff. So that is it for the October gaming pickups video, the October collection update. And I now have 1,005 physical games in my collection. That includes duplicates, including multiple games across multiple systems. I have like 5 copies of Final Fantasy IV because it got so many ports and re-releases and stuff like that. But again, duplicates as well. Like I have 2 copies of Final Fantasy II for Super Nintendo, Final Fantasy IV in my collection. One is boxed, one is not. And like I said, you know, the only times I get rid of duplicates is when I actually have a reason to. Like last time I mentioned Secret of Mana. I still have my European copy of that. I haven't gotten rid of it yet, but I will eventually. And I only need one copy of Billy Hatcher, so that I'm gonna keep. It's just the like the handheld games and cartridge based games where I want, you know, a loose cart sometimes, and then a full box copy as well. So yes, I have finally gotten over 1,000 games here, and oh my god, it is glorious. It really is. So anyways, that is it for now. I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Please remember to comment, rate, and subscribe.